Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. I regret to inform you that the Silvervale drama and the related harassment has managed to get even worse. I'll be honest with you, I underestimated the brain rot that would stem from the Hogwarts Legacy drama, including the longevity of it, even in regards to the outrage that stemmed from Silvervale initially streaming the game. I thought that would blow over in like a day, but here we are 2 weeks later, and her name is still trending on a daily basis, accompanied by even more outrageous harassment and hateful rhetoric that we'll cover in this video. Again, if you want to personally boycott the game because its IP is owned by J.K. Rowling, who is considered by many to be a transphobe, more power to you. But I have never witnessed the kind of mobilization of terminally online Twitter users that have been used to harass, dox, and threaten anyone who dares stream this funny wizard game or even acknowledges the hate that surrounds it. But I guess these actions are hardly surprising given the fact that it's a lot easier to harass people who stream a video game that J.K. Rowling makes very little financial gain from than to take real action and book a flight to Orlando or California to protest ticket sales for her Harry Potter theme parks she makes millions from every year through Disney, or to boycott the publishers of her books that have made her hundreds of millions, or to book a flight to Japan to protest her contracts with Nintendo that also make her millions, and so on and so forth. The concerns about her ties to this game have been exponentially dwarfed by the bullying and harassment campaigns that supposed activists have launched against content creators streaming this game. What happened to vshojo's Silvervale is perhaps the most dramatic example. Despite the claims by Twitter that she was never harassed, you can see the wall of harassment and threats she has received, which is only a small snapshot of what's out there publicly. Now, you can watch my previous videos for the full details of what led up to today's update, but basically she was cancelled for 2 reasons. For streaming Hogwarts Legacy in the first place, as well as being falsely accused of banning the word trans from her chat, which was very easily proven to be the result of Twitch's auto-mod feature, which holds messages containing sensitive words and phrases like trans for review for moderators to ensure that these words aren't being used to promote hate. And it seems that Silvervale's emotional explanation of the situation in her latest Twitch stream is now the center of the most recent accusations made against her, claims that her tears were manipulative and the intentional act of hate and bigotry. So we're going to look at a few takes, tweets not only continuing the harassment of Silvervale, but also attacking women in general, some death threats being sent to people covering the harassment, and claims from a Twitch ambassador that the entire harassment campaign is an alt-right psyop being used to frame trans activists for the harassment. And in case you're wondering, all these takes would be received with open applause from thousands of Twitter users. Yes, mask off moment for many, but without further ado, let's look at some more brain rot. So I want to start with this tweet in particular. It says, "This might be cynical and I generally like Silvervale, but this content creator cycle of buy controversial game, chat gets upset, cry on stream, get clicks is starting to feel very calculated." Yes, because crying on stream is a very calculated move. Number one, when has this cycle ever happened? When has there ever been a situation where a content creator is buying a controversial game and getting massively harassed? When has that happened before Hogwarts Legends? So that's already ridiculous, but chat getting upset. The chat is not who's upset. It's a bunch of crazy people on Twitter who are attacking her and only going to her chat to harass her. They're not her actual fans. If you go to the stream where she apologized, 99% of the comments are positive. She did not ruin her reputation. She did not lose a bunch of fans or anger her own fan base in chat. They were very supportive. It's just people on Twitter looking for someone to bully. And when is crying on stream considered a bad thing? But the whole concept of women crying is going to be a big focus for the next couple minutes. But just observe. 12K likes on this. Basically saying Silvervale is full of it. And this is all a very calculated effort to get what out of this? I'm not sure. Sympathy, a very roundabout way of getting sympathy by getting doxxed and harassed and all those things. It was definitely worth it to play the Harry Potter game, right? It was all calculated. But luckily, we have this resident Twitter user here who is going to explain to us why Silvervale crying after being harassed is actually the work of bigotry. Yes. So, okay, something has been bothering me about this Comfy Wolf YouTube apology stream, trademark, and it needs to be said. This isn't to imply any intention on her part, more of a lack of awareness of the repercussions of her actions. We gotta talk about cis woman tears. Do we? Do we have to talk about cis woman tears? So I think it's hilarious that this person's mocking the whole situation about the Comfy Wolf YouTube apology stream trademark. Like, first of all, like the people calling it the funny wizard game, just say Silvervale. Say it with your chest. Please, I beg of you. But to say, this doesn't imply any intention on her part, and then they're going to go on and say that she did this all on purpose to take advantage of a mechanism to make people feel bad and attack trans people on her behalf because she's crying. So, which is it? Is it intentional or not intentional? Because in order to manipulate people with your tears, or to hurt other people with your tears, apparently, you have to have intention to do that. Otherwise, there's nothing there. But they'll explain all of this away, don't worry. You may be familiar with the older, more infamous version of this phenomenon, white woman tears. Are you guys familiar with that one? Basically, intentionally or otherwise, white women have historically used their position to hurt non-white people through appealing to the male patriarchy by playing the victim. Are you guys familiar with that? Last time I checked, I'm pretty sure every type of woman out there has cried to manipulate people's feelings. And not just women, men as well. Tears are not a unique thing for white women to exploit. I have never heard of white women crying to hurt non-white people. What world do these people live in? Like, I have a pretty good litmus test for these types of threads. Imagine finding an employed person walking down the street and showing them this thread and being like, this is a very serious issue. They would look at this and go, what are you even talking about? You're crazy. Like, get real problems. And they go on to say, so with the crosshairs of the reactionary movement aimed at the trans community, we've started to see that phenomenon mutate into cis woman tears. The actions are still the same, only the target has changed from non-white people to trans people. I would love proof of any of that, but I guess Silvervale is like the leader of this new movement to change white woman tears to no longer target non-white people, and now she has been responsible for shifting that to attack trans people. This is very well documented stuff, guys. Come on, get with it. But speaking of reactionary movement, you know what's a reactionary movement? The fact that dozens of VTubers, not even just general Twitter users, VTubers, used false claims about her banning the word trans in her chat to label her a transphobe. That was reactionary, and that's why she was trending over the past couple of days, because VTubers, VTweeters to be more precise, in their movement to feel important, launched this accusation against her without even fact-checking it for a second. That is reactionary, not Silvervale crying on stream. I don't know who they're talking about here, Joanne. I'm sorry, I don't know Joanne. I can't attest to it. That's cis woman tears in a nutshell. It's cis women of privilege using that to specifically hurt trans women, with trans men and non-binaries hurt as a bonus. And it's not going to stop there, because the reactionaries have already returned to targeting gay and women's rights next. What in the world does this have to do with Silvervale? What does this have to do with Silvervale crying on stream after being doxxed and harassed over playing a wizard game? Please enlighten me how these things connect. And honestly, the only person attacking women's rights are people like this. You're attacking their right to cry, their right to share emotion. Since when are women not allowed to cry when they're upset? Just because, oh, what? Because they're a content creator? Like, oh, I guess they're superhuman, right? Like they have to hold their composure all the time. I have news for people like this who clearly have no idea what it's like to be in the spotlight of harassment and trending for days, being called a transphobe, doxxed, and really just alienated by thousands of Twitter users. You have no idea what that's like. You don't you don't get the right to sit here and say that crying is some sort of an unnecessary thing and that it's being used to manipulate people, whether intentional or not. You don't have that right. You have absolutely no idea what it's like to be the spotlight of harassment. But how does this all have to do with the comfy wolf? Well, it's clear the ordeal has been emotional for her. There's no denying that. But her way of addressing it was to cry on camera and mic about how bad she got hit and then end the stream crying into the mic unmuted. What's the problem? What is the problem with her crying? She's upset. And she said in the stream that she wanted more time to collect her thoughts, but she was being attacked on a large scale. Like, what else was she supposed to do? She felt like she was handcuffed into addressing the situation. It's a live stream. Like, it's hard to compose your emotions when you're talking about being labeled something that she clearly finds very, very offensive. She clearly supports trans rights, so it's kind of a nightmare for her to be labeled a transphobe by countless Twitter users and her peers over this issue. So, want to know what happened after that? Trans VTubers saw a spike in harassment. Intentionally or not, her stream pointed the blame specifically at trans people for what happened to her, and people use that as an excuse to target them specifically. Again, do you have proof of that? The spike in harassment? I'm sure this person has numbers to back all of this stuff up. But you know what? When Silvervale went onto her stream, she didn't say, oh my god, trans people are doing this to me. She was talking about people harassing her for this whole situation. People, not trans people, because truth is, a lot of the people harassing her they're not trans. There's a good number of people, they're not trans. It's not just trans people attacking her. So when she's upset about being harassed, that's a pretty open concept. It's not targeting trans people. Everyone knows she wasn't targeting trans people with her tears. Like, come on. And down here, my god, the thing is, she'll be fine. She's an agency streamer, so the employees at that company, her friends, her family, and her massive fan base all have her back. You know who doesn't have all that? Trans streamers and others who have spoken out in their defense. Yeah, I love this whole, fact that she's an agency streamer, like she's a goddamn member of the Avengers or something. Dude, she literally sits in her house and streams by herself, just like everyone else. Being an agency VTuber doesn't mean you're, safe and secure in your physical location. You know what? Getting doxxed is a really scary thing, and I don't care who you are, let alone a vshojo member. That is a very dangerous thing. So you think, what? Because she's successful, it's okay for these things to happen to her? Because she has a lot of support? Oh, it's okay to harass her. It's okay to, accuse her of things she's not doing because, she has, friends and family and a lot of public support. No, that's ridiculous. It's a cop-out. It's an excuse for bullying people. That's what this all is. It's just an excuse to bully people. And look, dude, it goes on. I don't care. If you need to put a 30-part thread together to tell people why it's bad that Silvervale cried and how it's hurting trans people, you're clearly, you need to find something else to worry about because you're clearly reaching. But I want to move on here. We have other tweets like this. Everyone from every angle is attacking this. Nobody, every cis streamer on the planet, when you politely ask them to maybe not play the turf royalty simulator, this is the worst oppression they've ever faced in their life. And of course, it's laughing and mocking them. Silvervale was very politely asked when she was harassed by thousands and doxxed. It was just polite. Yeah. That's how people are reacting to clips like this, showing the harassment. Oh, and by the way, this person is an Overwatch player. They play Overwatch. So I guess by their own logic, they're a supporter of sexual misconduct and harassment of women in the workplace. Got him again. But here I want to bring up another point. Our resident newsman here, FalseEyeD, got a death threats, a gay men threats after covering this whole situation, saying transphobes will be assassinated. And he goes on to say, apologies if this appears to be feeding the trolls, but this is the first time experience for me, and I just don't have it in me to bottle it up. Many are feeling very hurt and threatened at this time, and so mistakes like this will be made. I've reported the messages to Twitter. So, first of all, welcome to the club. I get fan mail like this all the time. This is like your coming into manhood as a content creator when you're getting threats like this on the regular. But obviously this was pretty upsetting to him, and he reacted by sharing this, and of course hinting that these thinly veiled death threats are not okay. But this guy, the masked himbo, he's been involved in basically every single thread about Silvervale trying to downplay everything that's happening. He says here, "You can't let your emotions dictate how you act, false. You have a platform. You have a responsibility to make rational decisions that aren't going to negatively impact innocent people. Be better." Yeah, false. Be better. Stop having emotions when someone sends you a thinly veiled death threat. Be better. Like, dude, please. I beg of you to have basic empathy. Like, I've always considered myself, I always thought I was kind of like an edgier person, at least a little bit. But like these days, I feel like a softie because these activists are completely and utterly unhinged. Like, you just say, hey, death threats are not necessary when the newsman is covering harassment that is public. And they're like, suck it up. Stop showing emotions. I would ask this person if the roles were reversed. If this was a trans person, a trans content creator getting a death threat and they posted it, would you have this same reaction? Would you be telling them to be better and to not show their emotion and negatively impact people by sharing what happened to you? No way. And the takes from this person are absolutely... There's dozens I could go through, but here's another one saying, "I'm really curious what Silvervale and vshojo are going to do at this point. Now her reputation is in the trash. Are they going to rebrand her or move on or do whatever they can to repair the damage she has caused?" What damage has she caused? I'll wait. What damage has she caused? By playing the Hogwarts game and then getting harassed for it. That's the damage. Her reputation is as good as ever. The only people who are labeling her a transphobe are people who are completely and utterly unhinged and won't accept anything to combat their viewpoint. Okay, like you have tons of people who were confronted with the evidence that the accusations that she was banning trans was actually the work of Twitch's auto mod system, and the people just were like, I don't care. And it's that stubbornness. Like, dude, make your VTuber debut and stop finding every minute of the day to try to attack people over these issues and to tell people that the threats they receive are not valid and that they need to do better. Like, give me a break. But hey, don't worry. If you think these things are actual threats or harassment, I got news for you guys. This is actually all a alt-right psyop. Yes, we have our friend Annie over here who's actually a Twitch ambassador. A Twitch ambassador who said this. Not sure if people realize this, but the majority of hate and doxing that streamers are receiving from the Wizard game is manufactured by right-wingers to damage the reputation of trans people, and it's working flawlessly. Psyops are at an all-time high right now. That's right, guys. 2,400 likes on this. All of the harassment, which apparently now the harassment is real, the harassment is actually made by right-wingers who are framing trans people by making, established accounts to do this. I can't even believe anyone would support a belief like this. It is just the epitome of not taking responsibility for your actions and blaming it on some straw man that doesn't exist in this situation. The bullying and harassment is traced back to a whole host of people, but it comes from these activists and people who believe they're doing the right thing and that they are justified in their bullying and harassment of others over this issue, when, of course, it is not warranted in the slightest, and it is not controversial to say that. But here you guys go, another update on the Hogwarts situation. I think I'm done. I think no matter how much worse this gets, I have to move on from the Hogwarts drama. In fact, there's a whole new movement with the Atomic Heart series. People are now starting to get canceled for that, so stay tuned for that one. But please share all your thoughts about this video in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed, guys, and I'll see you next time.